Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Bryce Berringer. I am back with you. Thank you for taking time out of the considered voice this evening. This is the second community workshop that we are hosting for West Tampa Community Redevelopment Area Community Redevelopment Plan update. So essentially, it kind of crash course on CRAs and what community redevelopment plan is. It's the guiding document that every established community redevelopment area is required to have in the state for and it outlines all the different projects and priorities that each community redevelopment area wants to allocate funding for the lifespan of the CRA. So we have partnered with RBI with planning partners and planning for this project. This evening we have CRP who will be walking you through this presentation, and then we'll break out into groups to go through activities that you see over here on your guys' left. So without further ado, we'll turn it over to you, Tom.
Thank you. My name is Tom Skarski with RBI Planning and Landscape Architecture. Again, if anyone wants to their review, feel free to pop up in the middle of what I'm talking. You can keep it pretty casually if you want. But we do thank you for joining us tonight, and we have some competition with another meeting as well, the LDC meeting. I do see some familiar faces. I think some of you might have been at our first meeting back in February, the community engagement meeting we had. But quickly, if you're at our first meeting, some of these slides will be repetitive, some of the background. As Bryce mentioned, we're with RBI Planning Landscape Architecture, and then we also do have two partners on this as well, RMA and CPC. They're helping us with analysis and a lot of familiarity with the arts and culture. CPC and RMA does a lot of these CRA updates as well. So to begin, why are we here today? As Bryce mentioned, this is the West Tampa CRA. This was established in 2015 with the original adopted plan. And the West Tampa CRA consists of 964 acres. It is a very large CRA. And what is a CRP? A community redevelopment plan. CRP is a statutory requirement, as Bryce mentioned, created to guide the community redevelopment area. It lists the projects and programs that the CRA can work on and pay for. Key takeaway, if it is not in the plan, it cannot be done. So it's really important that we capture the different ideas and really plan for the future. A lot of times they are broader categories of action items that to be included in that plan so that it can be actionable later, whether it's in 5, 10 years. I don't know, I have in this slide, I narrowed it down, but the West Tampa CRA is set to sunset 2043. So it is, the plan really is updated throughout that lifespan, but the goal is to keep it broad for those action items and projects. So RDI, Landscape Architecture, has been selected to lead the update of the West Tampa Community Redevelopment Plan with Redevelopment Management Associates, RMA, as I mentioned, and Cultural Planning Consultants, CPC. And our goals really are the three major goals: develop a plan outlining the vision, sustainable growth, and economic vitality. Build relationships with the community and stakeholders through meaningful and extensive engagement. This is, as I mentioned, our second community engagement meeting. We've also taken time to meet with the board members, really go around a lot of the different businesses. We canvassed the area to let them know about these meetings. We had a survey, an online survey that was active end of January through mid-March. And so we got a lot of responses that way as well. And then lastly, to identify community priorities and strategic opportunities for the CRA. And to reiterate again, it's not in the plan, it cannot be done. So that's why that's important. Our proposed schedule. So we kicked this off in October of 2025. Obviously, we're in June of 2026 with our second community workshop. At this point, we are still gathering community input, which is why we're here today, but we are also working on some of the recommendations, basing that off of the past community meeting, the survey, things like that. And then the adoption period will be later this year in the fall of 2026. So we're here to facilitate a meaningful discussion with you, community members, business owners, stakeholders of the West Tampa CRA. And we want to understand the barriers facing the community. Obviously, the folks that are in this room today, you have some side of this area, whether you live here, work here, visit here. So You are boots on the ground. We've gone around and done a lot of surveying, a lot of studies in the area. We want to hear directly from those who live, work, or visit this community as well. So steps completed in trends. This is kind of a summary of today, up until today. So as I mentioned, we have a community survey that's from January 26th to March 13th. We have about 37 responses to that. And then we also had community engagement meeting 1 that was on February 23rd of this year. 20 attendees came to that. We had live polling at the end as well as breakout sessions, a similar format of what we'll have today. I'll take you through a live continuous polling that you guys can participate through your phone, and then we also have some breakout sessions to really go through the room, and we have some key areas that I'll be discussing that we were wondering we're working on the preliminary assessment submission.
Can you give me the boundaries of what you call West Tampa? Because I know the boundaries change between agencies.
So this is the West Tampa CRA. You have West Columbus to the north, West Kennedy to the south, are making that to the west, and then it goes to the river, kind of sprawls around, going up by North Rome, but it does bring the river as well there. So that would be the 964 acres that makes up the West Tampa CRA area. Good question, thank you.
And Armenia is the western boundary?
Correct.
Correct.
That's.
Pardon?
That's not, Armenia is nothing.
Armenia, it goes from Armenia to the river, the CRA area, this is a large CRA area, obviously they are a lot smaller, but it's 964 acres is a large CRA.
But West Tampa is well beyond.
Correct, so the CRA is an area identified more planned for the action than was for the CRA, so that there is attendance to do. So we also, the last item on the slide, we participated in board member one-on-ones with the CRA board that's made up of the Tampa commission members. We just wrapped those up this past week. And then this is some of the strengths that came out of our survey that we've done so far. So we're the prompt was the first thing you think of your West Tampa. And there are a lot of positives here, the potential pride, history, the cigars. So for this having such a rich history in cigar manufacturing, helping the community create location. Obviously you're Black and Latino culture, that's a big part of this community as well. And then areas of improvement, what is one thing the community needs most? You see parking, safety, code enforcement, small businesses, sidewalks, a unified vision. So this was the prompt for this question, obviously a lot of things to build on. And based on these surveys that we've done, and that we've done in person, the online survey, we got some overall themes. And those things were improved streetscapes and sidewalks, enhanced lighting, improved streetscapes and green spaces, revitalized commercial and economic development. That's a big thing that came from multiple groups who's really working to establish more businesses, incentivize businesses to relocate to this area, repair or replace vacant or dilapidated buildings. Obviously, there's a lot of blighted buildings in this area, which is common for a CRA. Really finding ways to repair or replace those. Housing for all, so not just luxury apartments or luxury condos, not just affordable housing, but housing options so that you can start your life or career here and be able to age in place and have different housing opportunities for when you have a family, when you're ready to retire, and all stay within the West Tampa area. Access to jobs within the community so that those who do live here don't have to exit West Tampa to work here. So having a variety of housing, not just high level jobs or low paying jobs, but really again, opportunities to stay and have your career develop here. Connectivity / multimodal access and keeping future development to an existing scale. So making sure that you don't just have high rises here or new buildings, but keeping things really fitting with what we see today, the same scale, the same type of building typology, things like that. And just those are some of the boards. From the last community, we did receive a lot of input, and thank God I didn't think the blue shirts were today, because I know we're going to repeat of last time's meeting. So today's activities, as I mentioned, we're going to start with some live polling. We're gonna do a Mentimeter polling for your last time, and it takes a couple minutes to get set up. We'll have you scan a QR code and we'll walk through it. And the beauty of the Mentimeter polling is, as I go through the questions and you select your responses, it'll populate here on the screen so that you can see the room's feedback and kind of get a general feeling for what people are, how people are responding. And then we also, once we wrap up the Mentimeter polling, it should only take about 10 to 15 minutes. We have some breakout boards here on the back. We do have the aerials in the middle in case there's some discussion. So the breakout boards, we really encourage you to participate in that. It's really a good time to get one-on-one with staff and myself and Bria from RBI. So this is our chance to interact and provide your direct feedback for anything that was not in the Mentimeter polling. And then on the boards here, we have sticky notes and any ideas that you have for these categories, being green space, streetscape, safety infrastructure, connectivity, and going down. We ask you to provide some notes on that as well and post your sticky notes there. So without further ado, we'll jump into our Mentimeter. If you guys can quickly scan the QR code. If you need any help, please raise your hand. You'll just scan the QR code. A link will come up and it'll take you to the Mentimeter website. You should get a landing slide that says community engagement meeting with our logo. If you don't see that, feel free to raise your hand and we'll come around and assist.
I got a question. I didn't see some items that we had talked about the last time we list of items.
Sure, any specifics that you want to cover?
Yeah, I didn't see anything up there about a pandemic. I didn't see anything up there about disaster relief, preventions, pandemic like COVID. And I didn't see nothing up there for 30% AMI housing. You got housing for all, that's what I'm talking about. Talking about 30% AMI to 50% period and rural rehab. I don't see that up there.
These didn't include our recommendations. These only included things that we received from the community in our last
I was here at the last time at the community meeting, wrote it down, said it again, I'm saying it again, Brenda. I don't see it up there. Okay. So I want on the record.
Sure, and I know, I do have in mind.
They ain't gonna let me do that. So I'm telling you now, I'm not gonna walk around these boards again. I already did that. I wanna see that up there. If not, I'm gonna have a problem with this. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
No, I do remember that from our meeting in May as well, and I do have
I
that.
don't see it transcribed in the writing up here.
Okay.
So
Apologies, I'll make sure that we do get
I don't
that.
need apologies. I need work to be done with the community, what people asking for, okay? That's all.
But if you'd like to scan the QR code, we can jump into the Mentimeter online polling as well. And again, please raise your hand if you need difficulty, and we'll come around and assist.
Seats in the front.
What about if you don't have anything to do that?
I can have that as well.
Yeah. What is that? What are you trying to get?
My iPad here.
Okay.
I'm not a computer person.
Look, man.
I have to flip it.
Chris is that. Okay.
All right, I get that going in 4 minutes here. It's situated.
I do know about that, so you don't trip.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can sit with them.
Bria, did you get the QR code? Okay.
Should they be doing just scanning and it's taking them to the, okay.
Yeah, once they scan it, I'll move on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
We do start as a student connected by my businesses. So you just look at it. Just ask me questions, you just press.
See numbers that are here?
Well, let me.
All right.
Oh,
Is that all right?
While y'all are doing that, I just want to give a thank you to, first of all y'all are attending. I'm Brenda Thrower. I'm the West Tampa CRP manager. And I want to thank my CEC members who are here, starting with Mr. Joe Robinson. He's our chair. Joe, raise your hand. You don't know who they are. We also have Bobby Wilson in the back. Raise your hand. Janice Williams, raise your hand. Cynthia Maloney, hello. Cynthia. Alan, I know you're here. Alan Therapy. And who did I did? Oh, Miss Jones, right here. So if y'all know, these folks volunteer every month to help guide the West Tampa CRA, and they are the official community advisory committee. And we meet once a month. Usually it's over at the Hillsborough Education Foundation. So, you know, if you don't see these folks out in your community, they're your active volunteers or helping. So I appreciate y'all being here. And thanks everyone else for coming. We have a lot of new faces in the room. So, okay, I'll hand it back up. Thank you.
Everyone, Steel things, jump into it. All right. So our first question, and it'll be, as I change slides, it should change your phone. We know it doesn't give you refresh as well, but. First question is, we tend to think your community engagement, you know, little easy question to start with. So everyone figures out how to use the meeting. And this is our community engagement we meeting had on February 23rd. So it's great to see new faces. We are having that now. It's also new faces, but a lot of you, thank you for coming again. If you have joined us, this is obviously a repeat for, so thank you for sitting because we have that presentation. Next question, how did you hear about today's meeting? The project website, email, signage and flyer, word of mouth, newspaper, or other. And you did select other, you would like to share as well. And we had some news coverage and some of the.
You need to refresh. It didn't get bored. Yeah. Says that. Waiting for. Okay.
One second.
Says QR code, he's just gonna bring it up in a second, but if you scan it, you should do it.
Yeah, I'd like to see throw a hands how that people found out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want other, if you want to expand and share, love to hear also the other communication for some ways, sign up there, and whether we can buy.
You only can pick one,
You can only pick one.
but if you heard about it, well, like, we are quite interesting.
That's great, I love that, yeah, it's wonderful, it's. All right. Our third question, which of the following best describes you, a West Tampa resident, West Tampa business owner, city holder, and again, this is also an apply for you, but whichever one you identify most with, obviously if you're a resident, you live here, or resident, you're in greater Tampa area, or visitors. Say majority of who's around our residents, well, Tampa. You call the area, obviously, you have to plan out there, you pay tax, your daily life. Our next question, how long have you been connected to this community? Less than 1 year, 5 years, 6 to 10 years, 11, 20, or 20 plus? You've seen a lot of change here. And I know as we've been in our residence community, there are a lot of people, for a lot of people who've been here 20, 30, 40 years, or their families have been here as well, so it's been generational. We appreciate everyone staying involved in the years. Yeah, and like I said, a lot of those folks for 20 plus years. If you had one amenities in the neighborhood, what would it be? So number one answers here, you can go ahead and fill in, they'll populate on the screen as you type.
Whatever, and there's already on there. Somebody had to create the request already in there.
Really fancy. Thanks, I do that retail and working to talk about it, coffee shops and more local businesses. These are the general themes we receive from a lot of community members. Why? Since we have these boards in the back. A lot of these buckets and we want as much detail as you can provide for things that are related to connectivity or commercial redevelopment and revitalization. Not only just what you want, but where you want to see it, ways that you think would be great to implement these things. We really want to have as many ideas as we can, again, with long answers, and really dive through those answers as we review and provide recommendations. Comedy club and retail art galleries, green spaces, please work transit stops. All that's more, so it really got a lot of ground centered around reactivating this area and bringing people together. And give it another heading for those sectional subjects. And answer the next one. Okay. I love it. These two talk about the EPN as well, for planning, group that really looks into the history of the neighborhood. Obviously, this is a large African American and Latin community with a lot of those ties and see the small buildings, businesses. So keeping those top of mind as well as we work with this plan, really making sure that this is just a plan for what's to come in the future, but keeping the traditions from communities that have been passed. So. All right, our next question, in one word, what makes our community special? Is there another way to give my input, because I'm a low tech guy intentionally?
We can talk after the show. To get it on here, it is through phone or iPad. And I was gonna say, we have an iPad with you. If you don't want to use that, I can also be with you to collect your answers as well.
Okay.
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah. So some of this being location and proximity, obviously, neighborhood in the West Tampa area is really close to the downtown. There's a lot of, Tampa has some offer. Like the little small, diversity I mentioned is community integration, which you all know. So really making sure that we, that the architecture, river points, potential walkability, and support potential there. Obviously, there is still walkability with the density, but based on the common streets team, we have the need for water cycles. Another call seconds here, right? Anyone? All right, our next question. What is one thing that should ever change about this? I know it's not, because I'm sure a lot of you are thinking there's many things, but one thing that stands out to you the most, that's special, especially, that only this area. See where I'm playing, so if you use that on there.
You won't get my answer. You get it in there. Mistake.
I haven't seen it here a couple times in different forms, but it's very large, creating something that is worth those that live here, work here, that are located here. The culture side of that is very easy, remarketing. This sort of our every time the history, the name West Tampa, which you see there. The way class, I like that answer as well. It's community redevelopment, it's redevelop obviously the gentrification, something that we're all aware of, but you can use that open class through that section. Single family, not all be as well as areas of redevelopment, so even and restore redevelop the existing homes that are. Do another minute here. Great, all you guys have work, so you should be able to move it around lines to work it. From close to work, obviously they're all important, but now there's activity in priority, one priority. Starting by defining enhanced. Sure. We have to, sorry. Oh, yeah, and the internet community, so that really could be, your sidewalks could be better multi-ability, like bike lanes or the scooters or anything like that you ready to just connectivity overall, it could be better, you can find it, just connectivity, so you know where you're going and get there easily. It's just, doesn't only relate to cars and driving, though, it's really transportation or something. Thanks for the question. I'm glad I see it all the time, but have you about something? These are all important topics, and we can prove that state policy can be around here on the street. What is one person's priority isn't necessarily their neighbors. We've seen housing jump from the bottom to the middle, and historic preservation keep going between 3 and 1. So there is no one answer to this, and I want you to think that as we prepare a plan, we only look at one of these. They're all things, and this is the reason that we have this discussion. different things mean different categories, mean different things that everyone in the group and everyone in the community. And so that's the importance of having a well-studied plan and in pretty broad categories that you can do a lot of actionable items for, when you make your recommendations and plan. So safety in certain groups, that's pretty broad categories. You can go down to, traffic control or anything like that, cameras in an area, just for those overall safety for those pedestrians or motorists, anyone like that. Housing, as you mentioned, that was a topic that came up, and we had so many comments on housing throughout this based on affordability and housing stock and types of structures that are here. I think you see a lot of new development, a lot of, duplexes, condos, apartments, but housing also includes those traditional single family, good structures that are here, keeping those and making sure they get each place to be redeveloped and restored. So these are all very deep categories that I'm going to be having to look into in this discussion. And all right, I am going to jump to the next question here. Actually, that was the last question. So I'll give everyone a second. We're gonna be adding these boards, and we have speakers here. Be thinking as you look at the boards of different suggestions you have, each category related to those 6 categories there. And again, we're looking for any recommendations on any of these topics. Can be specific to where you want to see connectivity or safety concern or fluidness, so ways that it could be implemented. And we have the aerial boards there as well that you can hire to that.
Just about process, because at the last meeting, it seemed like, there was these high level topics, we provided inputs. I assume you collated them into, a set of priorities. And then this Mensky meter, it seems like we're kind of back to where we were in February, asking the same kinds of general high level questions. So what's the process for honing in on some specifics, especially given the timeline you were showing, where in the next few months you're supposed to be having a plan that's going to be executed? Are you going to present tonight some of these priorities that you believe has been communicated to you by the community? Is that what we're going to see?
So the community user is pretty high level. We go from recommendation from here. It's not that we do give some of the recommendations on the categories of these, but when it comes to the specific recommendations, when it comes to the specific recommendations, obviously you see about half the people in the room were not at first, which is why we try to have those conversations to really get as much input from the community as possible. Because we walk into these meetings not knowing whether we're going to have 40 people that have been at the previous meeting or all new people. So as I said, the recommendation was really to come into these categories, and we're still gathering data to provide final recommendations, but want to get as much specific about each category that we'll be putting into these buckets for the recommendation.
And when will the recommendation be available for us to review? And will there be another meeting like this to discuss it or anything?
Well, we're discussing like with the CAC and with going for the meetings later this fall. I'm not sure that we have a specific community meeting. It's more of just the recommendations there going forward from the report that we present. But no, that would be later this end of 26.
At his point, if we're making inputs and it doesn't appear that they're being captured and they're never being shared back with us until the very end, when you're making your final recommendations, I guess it seems like the feedback loop is broke.
Let me just say this as the chair. They can do all this talking, we get all this input, I'm thinking everybody can be in it, okay, include the new people that see. But when we have our meeting as a CNC, as a CRA, advisory committee, you're all welcome. You all get 3 minutes to talk, and if you don't like what they have, for us to approve, including board members, committee members, we're gonna say what we gotta say, right, Mr. Lonnie? Right, we're gonna say, right, Ms. Jones? So you guys, I'll invite you that. Brenda will let you know we have those meetings, usually on the 3rd Wednesday, and I will have one next week. You can come to that, make your expression there. So whenever they come to us, you guys will be at the meeting when they're presenting, because it's a public meeting and you get your 3 minutes to speak. So that will be your chance if there's no meeting between now and then. Okay? Yes. So make sure you sign up. That way you can get notice about our CNC meetings, okay?
So I think, that's very, the CSD is the community advisory committee, so that is, the representative, group of representatives that represent the community, whether they be business owners, the community that volunteer. And so they are regularly the group that we meet with, but it doesn't mean that that's where the input or discussion stops. We have completed the initial draft of the existing condition analysis, and so that will be uploaded as well here to project page. You can discuss that and you have that ready for your review. That's all that we set up now. Obviously, that's just existing conditions regarding demographics and how things have changed since 2015. And just one of the numbers that sticks out to me, I think the median income in 2015 was something like $15,000 or $18,000 for household income, and now that number seems like $53,000. So it seems like that we look into as to how the community has changed since that last plan.
But I hate to keep raising my hand, but there's been a major change in the state of Florida. And I know you're doing those demographics. I would appreciate, if you can, identify homesteads within the CRA. Because the homesteads is going to be an issue with taxes. So it would be nice for us to know how many homesteads that we have within the CRA, trying to get ahead of the spirit. So if you could do that, I don't know if you can.
The property appraiser does have a layer on their GIS. Yes,
Give it to these guys.
Certainly.
We get an idea
Yep.
of what that.
That's a great idea.
Is to all the rest of them.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Sure, and thank you. Again, the existing condition in comparison to 2015 today really ties into, it should acknowledge that Florida and this area specifically has changed. I mean, there's been a lot of people that, I think the statistics like 1,000 people moved to Florida a day, or at least that was the number during COVID and shortly after, still that number. But those people moving here out of state or relocating from around the state really changed the makeup of your community. So that's all the things we look at. I see 2 hands. I think I saw your hand up first.
Yeah, I wondered if you had made a list of priorities based on your input so far. You know, talking to the community and getting responses. Do you have a plan? And if what do you see? And how are you going to execute?
Yes, so that we do have, we have some staff, so I'm not gonna jump ahead because we're still discussing that staff. We're working closely with, but a lot of it does tie to these storage, and then we get into specifics. So that is something that we'll be sharing. But we're still taking a lot of that data. As I mentioned, we just finished our commissioner one-on-ones, I believe, last Wednesday. With the board members, excuse me, those one-on-ones that we met individually. But we will be presenting those, sharing those recommendations as well.
My concern is being that you're here, that you sound like you want to give a lot of public input. If that's the case, you're bound to be some conflict that arises, and that's the gist. What influence does this advisory group have towards, let's say, permit changes that may develop or may be requested from the develop?
So that's a good question. Obviously, when you are polling a large community, you're not just getting those who live there, you might be getting developers, you might be getting people that are involved in various parts of the process. So ultimately, we put forward recommendations and plans. I mean, they are broad themes. But really making sure that we are really representing every member of the community and trying to be a voice for those who don't have one in the community. And that's another follow-up. So,
But how well do you make it known what the conflict is? That's the key.
Conflict. Not sure what that.
I am answering this new question fully.
Suppose I've given input on something that's against permitting,
So we don't really get to the permitting level.
But what happened? That's all part of the planning.
That is more on the planning department, the planning and zoning and in building rather than the CRA function.
But my special question is, do you make that conflict known to the public? Or do you hush it?
If there is a conflict, yes, and for a lot of what we would be recommending would really tie more into your broader things of safety, the projects that can stem from that, as you had mentioned, really having COVID like massive disasters or a pandemic or things like that, so that the CRA has a route to spend CRA funds to respond to these events and to better the community. So really ultimately it goes to the CRA at the end of the day. What we are recommending are action items on projects that they could choose to do, it doesn't mean they have to do. But things that are on that list in the book that they can act on at a later date.
You gave an answer that I expect.
Thank you. Yes.
You said the CRA should help community, right? Why don't they help the community? They're spending money, but we are just spending the money. I've seen several families move out of this community that's been here for 100 years. You know, I've seen a lot of families that's supposed to be here at the home. Nobody helps them. Nobody said, well, I secure the local people. You know, shit, that's something.
So there are a list of action items that CRA can act on.
They are. Do they do? It's a difference. They are, yes. But who's they are? They are can't get to it because you guys don't notify everybody. It's all, you know, somehow it's all swept underneath the rug and kept as a secret. Until, you know, you just mentioned that people come from other places to this community. What about people that was in the community? Where? Tell me, where are those people now?
And so the same point in the CRA does have different mechanisms for grants and funding and things like that. And that's looking to make sure people are aware of those programs, especially for business owners, that would be improving the business of the community.
It's not even a grocery store. Grocery store you got right now that you read, where I'm staying at, public. And it's a problem. Public is not deep problem that you guys design your liking, but not for the neighborhood. You know, your designs are, you know, there's a lot of people in there that just that. You think about it, you see what you're doing. Look, if you guys said you could see what's going on. You know, right in front of your eyes.
Thank you. And regarding business, that is one of the big incentives and pushes with CRS to really make sure that you do your point with grocery store, really not just bringing in your large grocery stores, but having incentives and programs to keep more smaller businesses and local businesses involved.
I'm a little concerned with the silo effect that seems to pervade everywhere all the time. But historic preservation and economic development and cultural, you know, appreciation, they all work together. And to have these categories like that, it just sort of avoids the responsibility. I think doing all those things would be helpful.
And that just because we have these broken down categories doesn't mean that that's they're only going to be actual, they do tie together. And to your point, historic preservation really ties into your safety and infrastructure, really, it ties into everything. But for the sake of simplicity of organization, that's why we have it broken down. But as we have like CPC, who's working on the cultural and historic preservation side, she's tied that into really your businesses, as she goes through current business, things like that. So it does fall into.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that was.
But Is there anything that we can actually see right now?
We do have the existing conditions that we'll be ready to share with you, but we do not have the recommendations. We prepare that after we wrap up the community engagement.
So you make your recommendations before you wrap up your community engagement.
No, incorrect. I said that we finish our community engagement and then we work on recommendations. No, incorrect. So we wrap up community engagement before we do the recommendation. Yes, please.
The CRA, are you guys over like the alleys? Because I thought.
Yeah.
I saw everything like nice. That you guys be doing something with that.
The alleys are part of West Tampa. And yes, we did do an alley survey. We did a study about a year ago. And so yes, it's all part of West Tampa. So any improvements that are happening in the alleys, and that's a great example. For instance, the plan that we're talking about doing right now, if we don't have alley improvement in the plan, we can't do it. It is in the plan under a kind of like connectivity or something, but in something, now that we're doing this whole plan review, we can be more specific. You want to be broad, but you want to be specific. So. No, only 3 alleys have been prioritized by the CAC. And the only thing that's really been done in them is really some lighting right now. The next step, it's kind of in phases. They're going to look at doing some surfacing in these alleys. And they're mainly kind of prototypes because we can't do every alley in West Tampa, but we can start working on some alleys to show the community, hey, do you like this? Is this what you'd like to see? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Matter of fact, right behind this building, okay, there's 2 alleys that are contiguous right behind this building. That's one. There's 3 alleys. So those are the 2 on the commercial area. The residential area is over near the post office, right between, is it Union and, right here, right next to the post office, there's an alley right there. So, and there's. No, we haven't identified that alley yet. That's a great point. There's 10 alleys, but the top 3 were the 2 alleys behind here and next to the post office. And again, think of this like prototypes, pilot projects, not to say we're not going to get to that. Okay. So anyway.
Like, I know it's mentioned, but like you're saying, we're about to find out what's happening with it. Did it get pushed to the side or, like you said, y'all recognize 3 alleys.
Right.
But we don't know what happens, right? I know I live behind the liquor store and that area is a problem.
Very good.
And you've already picked your 3, that's your main concern, but now the prototype, which is the one behind this building here.
Correct.
And somewhere down, where you say down there.
It's really on the other side of Howard, between Howard, Armenia, and where the post office is, 1 block away. So first of all, y'all being here tonight and signing in and putting your email there is huge. Thank you, because now you're connected. There's a lot of ways that we can get you connected. The other thing, of course, is the CAC meetings that we have every month. The only time we don't meet is in July and December. But other than that, now that you put your email in there, we can get notices out to you. If you'd like those into your inbox saying, meetings are happening. Yeah, the CAC meetings.
Like the meeting that we have. Well, I don't say anything about Hillsborough School.
Okay.
Notice that.
Well, very good. Thank you so much. Because we want more participation at these meetings and that would be perfect. We also have a social media channel, so you can also get meetings there as well. Just so y'all know, West Tampa is one of 9 districts out there in Tampa. So when you sign up for social media, you're going to get something from Drew Park and Ybor and East Tampa, and you'll see West Tampa. So we meet very regularly. We have a wonderful board. They're very dedicated, and we, pretty much, I don't think we ever cancel meetings doing council, our chair, Robinson, unless I don't think we've ever even had to cancel a meeting because of a quorum, because we always have very good attendance. And not even, well, I wasn't here in this community during COVID, but yes, COVID. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And just so y'all know, we are making one change. We're usually at Hillsborough Education Foundation, but this month, next Tuesday, which is June 16th, we're meeting at the Martin Luther King Community Center. And that was just because the Hillsborough Education Foundation couldn't accommodate us that month, but we do usually take one meeting somewhere different. And Martin Luther King, if y'all don't know where that's at, it's right next to the Rome Yard project that's going on. There's a community center there and we'll be meeting there. Okay. And if anyone's interested, please just make sure you sign in and make sure you print your name so I can make sure I don't mess it up. Thank you.
It's mentioned, it really is important for your attendance here. We appreciate everyone's attendance here. It's just giving your community input helps us figure out what we want to put the recommendations. Obviously, it's very much, thank you for having the alleyways. Since the initial plan was in 2015, we didn't really cover this one. It is a really small plan. I think it's maybe 30.
Less than
It's a
40.
good one. It was a good one.
It's a lot, but it was not going to a ton of detail because it was done with the adoption. And a lot of studies have been done, and the alleyway study, parking study is so, these are all basic information that have been gathered in the past decade. But it is now our job to incorporate this in the plan so that it can be acted upon. Because right now it's just information, there's not really action items tied to it. So that's why we're really trying to get out there and do the community survey, the community engagement meetings, meet with the business owners, board members, to really get a well-rounded picture. Because a board member, a business owner, and a resident are all going to have different ideas and things and points to do.
So I know before when I came to February meeting, I asked a question about the liquor store. Because I noticed, and we discussed with a couple of people that they had to all look at the liquor store and it's been closed since like, I think, again last year. And I guess somebody was gonna find out, did we purchase the liquor store?
I could comment. So there is an update.
Two questions. Explain, and we both, if you guys want the liquor store, if you did, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we're in the process. So this is the latest. The CAC approved for us to move forward to give a recommendation to the CRA board to purchase the liquor store. The owner has agreed to sell it to the CRA, so that's good news. And so the next step would be it goes to the CRA board, which is our city council, for final approval. And then we'll have to schedule a closing. So it's in the works. It worked out that the owner was wanting to sell the liquor store, and that's, by the way, that's 1947 West Main Street, if you want to know the address. So yes, ma'am, there is an update since February. So you're welcome.
And I did see on the last meeting, you gave us a picture of the area. And the blue two-story house at the corner of Albany and Union, it has CRA across the house. Is that a
Yes,
property
ma'am.
y'all interested in?
Yes, so that property has actually already been approved for purchase. Where it stands today is the owner has some code violations she needs to clear up. And so until they clear it up, we can close. That wasn't me. So yes, so the CRA, just so you know, in that block, we have Freedom Park, the CRA owns. The blue house, which has already been approved, we haven't closed on because there's an owner responsibility there. And then now the liquor store. So that's where we're at today. You're welcome.
I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent for just a brief moment.
Sure.
I'm curious, when the CRA purchases or like now owns or takes care of these properties, like what does the CRA do with the liquor store? What do we do with that building, which is awesome, the blue one, but what do we do?
That is where we do something called community visioning. So we're purchasing the property for a couple reasons. Number one, we're purchasing it for housing. That's a strategic acquisition. A second purpose would be maybe for a park space, something like that. Third purpose could be for slum and blight abatement. Okay, there's a problem and we're purchasing something because the community has come out and said, please do help, with this property. The only way we purchase property is with a willing owner though. The city will never go in and strong arm anybody to sell their property. But if there is an interaction and the owner wants to sell, then we move forward with that process through our real estate department. So the answer to your question is it's up to what the community wants. We also purchased property for a large housing development on Cypress Street between Howard and Armenia on the north side. And we're starting that community visioning process. And if y'all are interested in being part of any of that, again, get your email on the list. You'll know that the CAC, these are on CAC agendas. As they start to develop, we'll have visioning for properties. If it's a specific project like across the street, we'll have something like this. You don't have to come to a CAC meeting. We'll have even a separate meeting because we'll have a very focused conversation about it. But we do have those conversations at the CAC as well.
And what you're saying now,
What's that?
the property you said now.
Tower, I'm sorry, Cypress Street between Armenia and Howard. And you see the big, that is 1.1 acres property that has been purchased for housing, affordable housing. And so what that project looks like, and Bryce is involved in this, and the CAC, and anyone else who wants to be a part of it, that is going to be determined by the community. So it's exciting.
Are you gonna try to merge the two churches down between next to the liquor store and club and the liquor store on? Why don't you decide the liquor store might cost the liquor store?
I don't know about those. As if there's any interest, or if y'all want after this meeting, if you want to talk to me, I'm here, I'm available. You can.
No. Did you discuss the neighborhood? The community.
Well, they're talking last. That was good. Oh, sorry.
And I will say that these projects very property, and that's what the point is being to bring any problem areas for our community, but there's certain areas by law. I know one of the things that comes to mind is 275 access to from the northern portion of West Tampa to southern, and I think over 275 and we are titles to be in disrepair. So really bringing to our attention areas of concern that you experience living, working, or visiting this area, so that we can really try to build recommendations, a plan that addresses some of these issues that you're mentioning. So that's the point of these boards and having some around. Anything that comes to mind or any questions you have, please come to us and we'll be here as well. Yes.
Back on your slides, actually, there was one where you had like 3 or 4 points. The things that you needed to do. There. Is that one?
Which one?
Yeah, you've been doing the relationship thing great. That's been amazing. It's good to see you again. Identify community priorities and strategic opportunities. You've been gathering a lot of data. So that's awesome. But so far, we haven't seen a plan. It says develop a plan outlining the vision.
It's too early.
And that's because this will work, and that's, we have addressed those first ones, but we're building the plan, next, we really need to make sure we get that community input and identify the problem areas to build that. And so that's the last part of the process. That's a good question, thank you.
So when is it that you guys want to start on plan? What's the timeline for that?
The plan, we start that, we have some of the basic information, but we really work with recommendations after we finish, this after the community piece.
So basically next year or something?
No, basically next week.
I mean, the only reason I say that, because like, we don't know what that is, the overall plan is. But the bottom line is gonna be, so I'm thinking, and how you have the calendar going, I'm figuring the start of whatever you guys have been discussing on doing, it's gonna happen next year or after.
So we work on the recommendations based on these meetings, and next week we take those recommendations and move forward, and that's something that we discuss with the CAC and the board, and we invite you to join in those discussions that will happen. And as Ryan mentioned, those are open to the public, and we definitely appreciate the events of those as well. Sure, so we are around, we're in each of these boards. Any questions or concerns, we have aerials as well, presenting specific to the neighborhood on Church Street. Please point it out to us, we'll make sure we label it, make sure that we get it documented properly so that we represent. But thank you for your attendance. We appreciate you coming out, and we would appreciate you staying involved in the process as well. Thank you.
All right.
I'm gonna run.